Welcome to the Wavell Starr Show. I'm your host, the First Nation sensation, Wavell Starr, coming to you with another edition of Quarantine Talks. Today with me, I've got Aaron Tootoosis. Aaron, how are you doing today, man?
Very, very good. Very good.
Good, man. Tell us a little bit about your role and what you've been up to.
I'm currently the Indigenous Student Advisor at Saskatchewan Polytechnic Regina campus. Right now, we're moving forward as a team, doing different scenarios, preparing well in advance for a virtual school year. So, and what our services are going to look like from a virtual reality, I guess that's going to be pretty much the way things look, or is the way forward.
Right. No, definitely strange times right now, right? With this pandemic going on right now. Everybody, of course, is in isolation. What types of things are you doing right now to sort of cope with the pandemic in terms of both your work life and your personal life?
Everything's through Zoom mostly, Zoom and email. We got our work to home orders pretty much every week updated, and for the time being, it's just work from home. So to cope with that, I moved all my office stuff into our trailer, and fortunate enough to have a trailer to be able to move out of the house and out of the way of family, and not told to get out of the way or move. Can you move your computer, or and stuff like that. And a lot of singing, a lot of interacting with other powwow people and stuff like that, posting videos online.
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff going on right now. You see that the Indigenous people are always adapting, and you see a lot of our songs and dances being shared online. What are your opinions on that?
I think it's okay. Like like a lot of our dances and songs are for social reasons anyway, right? Like powwow, it's a social thing to do after ceremonies. Like people aren't posting Sundance songs, or aren't posting sweat songs, or aren't posting different ceremonial songs that they all have, and everybody's just being responsible, just doing their round dance and powwow, and those are, despite a lot of, I guess, views on powwows and round dances being ceremonial, right? But a large aspect of them are being social, right? Like you can't call spirits and saying you're gonna snag somebody's, daughter and stuff like that, right? Like so.
Right. So you're a renowned song maker as well. Do you find nowadays with the technology, you see a lot of the song makers today and the drum groups are depending on technology such as cell phones and other audio recorders to help them compose songs and remember songs. Do you think that this is going to be a benefit, or is this ultimately going to harm in the long run?
I think it does impact a singer's ability to come up with songs, though, and how we have gigs, like shows and performances and stuff like that, and a lot of songs need to come on the fly, and you can't show new songs, can't grab your cell phone and then start listening to your song, and then it doesn't look professional either, right? In a show sense, and I've done a lot of shows like that, and one of the biggest shows I did, and it was in 1999. We went down to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I had to sing 26 shows a day, or 26 songs I sung in 2 shows a day. So 26 songs at every show, twice a day, for 4 days. And I was a little bit younger then, but we didn't have cell phones in '99. But that quick ability to come up with songs, like different styles, straight, contemporary, and for all the different categories, it was quite the thing. And 2 starts a piece, that was I don't know if anybody can really say they had that many songs in a show before, but
right.
That's what I did.
Okay, while we're on that, deadliest gig. What was your deadliest gig?
I'd have to say that Milwaukee gig was that was the Indian summer gig, and that was a sold out show, and we had it wasn't a sold out, but the attendance was just stacked. There was a big, huge, almost like a grandstand there of people that came to watch, even though there was a powwow going on at the same time, right? Like It was, the show, and then just maybe about 200 yards away was the powwow, but people still came to watch the show, which was, I don't know, kind of something else. But they got to learn the history and everything like that of the dances and all that too. So
Yeah, for sure. One time with Young Scouts, Mark Longjohn, of course, the lead singer there, lots of good connections, and he got the gig at the Saskatchewan Rough Rider game for the 100 years of the Saskatchewan 100 years of heart was the slogan, and so it was a really big deal, and we had to do rehearsals and stuff like that, right? So then sort of think, oh man, this is going to be cool. I wonder how they're going to hear us. Where are they going to put mics, stuff like that. And here when we got there for the rehearsal, it was a lip sync gig. We didn't even have to sing at all. They played it over the speakers, and we were just lip syncing when drumming. Yeah, that was deadly.
The next gig after that, though, is the RCMP musical ride. I think they had at that time. It was a number of years ago, but they were celebrating their 150th or something like that. It was at the SaskPolytech Center in Saskatoon.
Yeah,
and that one was a sold out show. It was jam packed. They had the extra seating in place. It was we were surrounded by a whole big crowd, and I was singing with Red Bull, and then of course the question came around to all the guys. Donnie Spidell was running the show there, and he said, "Okay, boys, we need somebody to do the buffalo dance." And then I guess was at that time, the buffalo dance was wearing just wearing shorts under the buffalo robe. Nobody wanted to do it. I was like, hell with that, man. It was all coming down to me too, and I was like, no, heck no, man. Not with that many thousands of people. I didn't want to go do a crow hop looking naked under a buffalo robe. But they cut that part out of the show.
Yeah. Okay, man. Well, just to shift gears a little bit, I wanted to pick your brain on some other stuff. You have all sorts of stories in regards to singing and all that type of stuff, but you also have a lot of knowledge in regards to current events and politics and that type of stuff. So I really want to take this opportunity to pick your brain on a couple of things. So I guess first and foremost, you're aware that it was recently released that there was a plan for Saskatchewan to reopen the economy. What are your opinions of that?
I don't know. It's really it's a hard, tough decision, though, right? Because this is pushing and with the slogan of everybody, we're all in this together, whether or not we are impacted or not by the economy. If we're real super traditionalists living off the grid, to it's going to impact us. For a couple years after this, one way or another, we're all going to feel that the impacts of what the cost has been, and how far the deficit has been pushed for
Right.
all of us to be working at home and all of us to enjoy some of the benefits that were sent out, right? So,
Right.
Opening now, it's almost coming from almost a social Darwinist, I guess, plan almost, where it's money over lives, pretty much, right? Because of the pressure of that impact of the economy, and they're basically forcing people into restarting the economy. And you look at Quebec, right? May 11th, they're going to send elementary school children back to school. And then, of course, you have teachers that are going to be having to consider working or not working, right? And then you also have the kids that have the option of going or not. And Quebec also has the highest number of COVID-19 cases right now. It's pretty startling, and but you have other places that are, that haven't even done anything to ward off the chances of people getting COVID-19. Like in Brazil, they're not doing anything. The leader there is under huge pressure, and he's not doing anything to alleviate the situation. No calls for social distancing, just everybody fend for themselves, and just like, and that's the part of social Darwinism, right? It's just everybody, only the strong will survive. Whoever wants to take part in the economy have to be strong and healthy and survive the effects of COVID-19,
Right.
whether they get it or whether they don't.
Right. No, that you
Yeah.
made a good point there. So right now, because it's been settling in for a while, are you starting to see a difference in behavior in terms of maybe some people, their leadership kind of stepping forward during this time, while at the other times, maybe some people having a little bit of a harder time in terms of their mental health and their stress and their anxiety? Do you see much of that impacting out there in the Indigenous community?
Well, myself, I guess I'm fortunate to, come from another reserve and know all the business that's happening there, but also living on a reserve that my wife is from, right? So I see two areas, but also the neighboring reserves. Just pound maker. Our chief has been really not very technical and not very open, not very transparent. But the thing is that with this, it took a pandemic for him to actually update people. Every other day, he's on, actually does a video and gives people an update through Facebook. So that's a plus from my community, and they also have security monitoring and kind of questioning people coming through and all that at different entrances. So here on Standing Buffalo, sort of similar, but you have security at the only on the grid roads that go into the reserve, but there's a provincial road that runs through the southern end of the reserve that that just has just as much houses on the bottom than at the top of the hill, right? So there's a question of whether why aren't they blocking that road off? Like, they're allowing, just because it's a provincial road, they're not really asserting their sovereignty or their jurisdiction if they want to call themselves a nation, right? So next door, Pasqua, they're not letting anybody in that ain't from there. They're really strict, a little bit strict over there. The chief there has been really I guess taking a pro step, in protecting his people. So.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to bring up is in the news recently, they're talking about what large events are going to be going ahead this summer and what aren't. So you've heard that, like, the Cathedral Arts Festival is canceled, I believe. But I do know that for sure. What was mentioned was that the Country Thunder concert in Craven, Saskatchewan, that takes place in July. So far, they're planning to go ahead with it. So in terms of those large events, I guess you could maybe compare those large events in terms of large gatherings almost to a powwow. Of course, they're a lot different with what's going on there, but in terms of the crowds. So when do you think would be an appropriate time for communities to start considering going ahead with their powwows?
I'd honestly have to say next year. It's too risky. Like, we have our elderly population. It's too valuable of an asset, not just an asset, but just an incredible part of our identity as people, and to lose many of them, even one of them, right? Like, it is too many. And I applaud all the steps that leadership have been taking over the course of this last 2 months here, and taking the steps that they've done. But to go forward with powwows, they're not necessary. But I think though that there is a test of true belief though in other ceremonies like sundances and stuff like that.
Right.
A little bit more manageable, little different than a powwow. I think those shouldn't have a problem going forward. We know we have an idea of what being sick is, and and all that, and how to handle ourselves and stuff like that. But I think that like our Sundances can go forward, but for powwow, I don't think so. And then for Country Thunder, I think that'll get shut down too. I think government.
Yeah, it very well might. I saw that the premier mentioned that he's starting to feel a little bit more doubtful about those events going into summer. So while I got you here, another thing that I wanted to pick your brain about in regards to your some of your cultural expertise. So there is an issue right now in regards to elders. As you know, a lot of our organizations, we depend on elders to come in and share information for that ever important knowledge transfer. And we depend on them as a, as a resource oftentimes. And to do that, we provide an honorarium for them in exchange for the time. And it's not considered pay, it's more considered a gift in exchange for their time. And the problem is recently some of the elders have been having a hard time because most of the organizations, as you know, the payment process calls for a payment, through an invoice and through check. And the impact of that on the elders is that it sometimes causes, an impact on their any federal benefits that they receive. And of course, a lot of our elders are not in a place financially where they can really afford to be getting any kind of deductions. What are your feelings on that, and what do you think are some potential workarounds?
We've actually like this is something that I've been dealing with, having come from a past of being like in this institution. I used to be the Indigenous Student Center coordinator at Saskatchewan Polytechnic. Now I'm an Indigenous Student Advisor. But the thing with planning events and stuff like that, it not only impacted elders, but also our performers, our cultural performers, our pipe carriers, and of course our resident elder. And having I tried every which way I could around this situation, and as well as my team and my senior my supervisor and director, they've all tried every different way that they could to try and alleviate the impacts of our elders having to face the consequences of collecting honorariums on a consistent basis. Like if we have an elder on campus every Monday, Wednesday, then the Canada Revenue Agency looks at that as being an employed or salaried position, and they come back and they say that, well, this person owes this much come tax season, right? So, and it impacts our elder. Our elder actually has been dealing with this and has been kind of getting deducted here and there from her pension in order to pay back what she owed through the year. And we have, but the negatives of it too are, we have really good elders out there and really good ceremonial people, but because of the taxation issue, they don't even want to come to our institution. They don't want to check. They don't want, but they need the money to come, right? Like a lot of them come from out of the city, and they just rather not, because it's more of a headache for them. And as an institution, we can't give them nothing either, right? And every which way we can, can't just give them a blanket or or tobacco, right? Like it's like the saying, you can't, my vehicle doesn't run on tobacco.
This road trip with the drum group.
Craziest road trip? I'd have to say that 1 year after Long Plains, but I don't want to get into that one. And we got stuck in Regina, and then we had to catch a ride from Regina to Long Plains, and we ran into you guys. You guys had the Starr Blanket that time, Starr Blanket Juniors, and you guys had that van with the no windows. You just had the Starr Blanket design on the side. Caught a ride back to Regina with you guys, and
Yeah, those are some crazy times. Good times, very good times. Now we got our boys around that age. Hopefully it goes smooth for those guys, right?
Hopefully, no revival. LCS, Loose Cannon Society revival.
Okay, thanks a lot for coming on Quarantine Talks today. Do you have any last comments?
No, I'm good, man. This is good. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, sounds good, man. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Hey, take care.